We were talking about the one mind, and this is it. There are no new stressful thoughts. And these thoughts, they're like children, and they scream for our attention until we meet them with some understanding and a little charity and a little kindness, and just, maybe when those painful thoughts are rolling through us and we're so sad or angry and frightened, just to identify one of those children, one of those thoughts, and just gently say, sweetheart, is it true? And then just sit down and have a little talk with ourselves. Can you absolutely know that it's true that something terrible is going to happen? What happens to your life when you think the thought something terrible is going to happen? And who would you be without that thought? Who would you be living your life without the thought something terrible is going to happen? And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just simply saying, who would you be without that thought just in this moment? Something terrible is going to happen. I say, let's wait until it does and live happily until it does.
I want to talk about fear when we get back. I also want to talk about a story you told when I saw you here in New York about your mother having cancer. And I want to share with you some how I remembered that story when I was at my cousin's bedside as he had cancer. You're listening to Empowered Living, Life, the Truth, and Being Free. You all can tell this is an amazing show. We're speaking with Byron Katie. She is the bestseller of 3 books. You can visit her website, thework.com, if you're ready to change your life, if you're ready to free yourself from the imprisonment and shackles of your own negative thoughts. Visit thework.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Empowered Living, Life, the Truth, and Being Free. I'm your host, Steve Maraboli. For more information about A Better Today, our speeches, programs, seminars, and our A Better Today charity, please visit abettertoday.com or stevemaraboli.com. Again, I get a ton of emails. As far as the A Better Today charity goes, we are a self-funded charity. I take care of the money. We don't accept your money, but I expect you all to participate. It's not as easy as sending a check. There's plenty of other charities you could do that with. I want you out there sweating next to me. We're also adding a coat drive here in New York. There's going to be some setups for drop-off points with coat drives. If you want to participate, we're going to head into New York City a few times this winter, and we're going to hit the streets and hand out coats. And so if you want to participate in that, feel free to send us an email. Go to abettertoday.com. We're speaking with Byron Katie. She is the best-selling author of 3 books. I've read all 3. It's Loving What Is, I Need Your Love, Is That True? And 1,000 Names for Joy. I strongly suggest you pick up these books. You can find out more information about her products at thework.com. Katie, when you were in New York, you were talking about you going through cancer with your mother, mm-hmm. and you said something so profound that day, where you had said, everyone else would come by, and here suddenly she had cancer, and then you'd come by and you'd be uplifting, you'd help her, and you'd say, well, you don't have to get to the shower, you just have to sit up, and then you don't have to get to the shower yet, you just have to kind of scoot over, and you would baby step her through things, and you would just treat her as if she was who she was, and it's your mother and this wonderful woman. Mm-hmm. We recently had in our family a 37-year-old cousin with stomach cancer, and they gave him, almost no time to live, and my cousin and I, we decided to, we're going to do what Katie said, and we're just going to treat it as it is, and the truth is, when you follow this, you say, well, how do I know he's supposed to be laying in bed with cancer? It's because he's laying in bed with cancer. Yeah,
it's like, how simple is that?
Yeah, there's no reason to fight the reality, so let's just go there.
It's like, this is reality, what can we do from here?
Exactly, and it's as true, and you'll say something like, how do I know I'm supposed to be here doing the dishes? Because I'm here doing the dishes.
That's it.
And so we treated him that way. We kept talking to him as if he was fine, because he's fine. He's still there, and he still has the same memory, and we were joking. And the doctors said, it's amazing how much longer he lasted. And the doctor said, I would watch you and your cousin interact with him, and you guys would bring life to him and everything else. He goes, and the doctor even said it, and then his family would come in and surround him and cry. and he said,
then he would have cancer.
Yeah, and then suddenly he's looking around like, oh my God, I am sick, and it's absolutely amazing. Katie, there's so many people. They're sitting in their cubicle right now. They're sitting at home. They're listening to this on their way to work. They think it's a lot more difficult than it is. But what do you suggest to someone who's just sitting there now saying, you know, I'm sick of this day-to-day rut, and I'm sick of my relationship, or I'm sick of living paycheck to paycheck? How do you free those people?
Well, I would invite them to identify the thoughts that are stressing them out and to question them and turn them around and find examples for those turnarounds. For example, you're in a rut. Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true you're in a rut? And a lot of people would say yes to both of those questions, and that's okay because it's just your answer that you're looking for. This is personal work. So what happens? How do you react when you think the thought that you're in a rut? And then, you know, what happens to your life in that moment? Look what happens to your body. It begins to slump. You begin to get depressed. Look at the images in your head. You see the same old. Those are just images. And then you react from those images and feel, again, depressed. And that's what happens when you think the thought and you don't question it. So who would you be without the thought you're in a rut? My goodness, your eyes would be wide open like a newborn, seeing the trees rather than images of a rut. You'd see the trees and the sky, and you'd smell the oh my goodness, the morning, if it were morning, and you'd see the smile on the children's faces or the sadness, and relate to it in a whole new way, you know, like life new. So you're in a rut, turned around, you're not in a rut. Now find examples of where that's true. And this can be very difficult, you know, because it means getting honest. But to find examples of where you're not in a rut. Identify just one thing that you did that was a little different. And then if you find one, you can find two. If you find two, you find three. Just in that day, just in this day, identify one thing you've done that was just a little different. And then I'm in a rut, turned around, my thoughts are in a rut. Now, isn't that as true or truer? Your life isn't in a rut. Your thoughts are in a rut, believing the same thing over and over and over and over. No wonder we're depressed. You know, I say we don't go to sleep at night because we're exhausted from work. We're exhausted from the thoughts that we've been thinking, believing, and experiencing.
It's being exhausted from your own imagination because, in truth, I mean, when you examine this, Katie, you really can't fear anything real. I mean, you can in the sense that, you know, I fear getting hit by a car. That, of course, getting hit by a car is real. But I mean the sense that you can't fear it because it hasn't happened. You can't fear something that has happened.
Yes. And if we are hit by a car, where is the problem? You know, we project the car hitting us. Feel the fear. The car is coming at us. Feel the fear from projecting what is going to happen before the car even hits us. You know, the car is coming straight at us. There's no time or room to move. Who would we be without our story? Just, my goodness, the sky, the car, the pavement, present. You could see a lot of options. You could probably even avoid the car, and people call it a miracle. I call it simple clarity. But who would you be without the thought on? You know, it's like you're experiencing a wonderful life until the car actually hits, and you're so stunned that there are no thoughts there, so you're still not in pain. And then, let's say your arm is broken and there's a bone sticking out and all of that. You know, there's still really no problem until you look at it and notice this is a little much for some of you. I understand that, and I invite you just to follow and get still with this. But you look at it, and then the mind immediately begins to think and believe what that means. Like it's going to get worse. It's going to hurt when they fix it. You're going to have to go to a hospital. You're not going to be able to go to work. Feel all those thoughts. they're more painful than the bone sticking out of your arm. And I'm talking from experience.